Naoya Inoue did what Inoue does to Alan Picasso, and the casuals immediately chimed in, crowning him the pound for pound king. That's not analysis, that's fandom. Pound for pound isn't about how dominant you look in your own lane. It's about the quality of opposition, the context of the wins, and what's actually at stake. And by that standard, there is a clear pound for pound number one, and it's not Naoya Inoue. That leader is Oleksandr Usyk. And once you step back and actually look at what he's done and who he's done it against, that gap is clear. Part of the reason we're only having this conversation now is because Terence Crawford stepped away, which is why it feels so open. And with that spot vacated, people rush to fill it. This isn't about tearing Inoue down. It's about what being the best pound for pound fighter asks of said fighter. And once you apply that standard consistently, the conversation changes fast. And that's exactly why we need to talk about what actually happened with Naoya Inoue's fight last night with Alan Picasso. Now, before y'all guys like jump in the comments and stuff and say, oh, you're just tearing down Inoue, you don't think Inoue is good? Like, no, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not tearing down Naoya Inoue. Instead, I think he looked absolutely fantastic against Alan Picasso. I mean, there was not a moment in the fight where I was concerned for the safety or the legitimacy of Naoya Inoue's number 2 pound for pound spot. My real issue comes in with what Usyk's done compared to what Inoue's done. And it's completely clear now that, assuming Terence Crawford's really retired, I think he is, it's very clear that Oleksandr Usyk's number one. And it was always clear that it was Crawford, Usyk, Inoue, but now it's just Usyk and Inoue since Crawford is gone. And you go back and you look at the Joshua, Dubois, Fury. Dubois wins for Oleksandr Usyk. Nothing Inoue has done matches that. And that's just his heavyweight run. Both of them are pound for pound, or not pound for pound, sorry. Both of them are undisputed at 2 weight classes. Okay, so you have to look. What is the best wins for Naoya Inoue? You got like Stephen Fulton, Nonito Donaire. Those kinds of wins are fantastic. They're great. But like, Usyk went in there and fought Joshua twice. Didn't care about the rematch clause in the backyard. He fought Fury twice. Didn't care about the rematch clause. Fought Daniel Dubois twice. Didn't have a rematch clause and opted to fight him again. If this kind of breakdown is how you like boxing talked about, hit like and subscribe. I don't chase hype. I'm trying to set standards and use them right. Now they're talking about him fighting Moses Atuma, another just like, oh yeah, Usyk's gonna destroy this guy. Yeah, so you look at what the two have done, and like, it's very, very clear to me that while I love Naoya Inoue, I actually enjoy watching him box more than Usyk. I don't think there's a conversation to be had with Naoya Inoue being number 1 pound for pound. I don't think he's close. I don't think anybody's close to what Usyk has done except for Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's gone, so it's got to be Oleksandr Usyk. Against Alan Picasso, Naoya Inoue was never in trouble. He never was like, oh wow, you know, he ate a couple shots, but like, he knew where he was, and he was paying attention to the shots, you know, because a lot of the shots that hurt the most is when you're not looking, like when he got dropped by Donaire or wasn't Marajan, whoever it was before Marajan that knocked him down. But like, you watch these fights and it's like, okay, Inoue's getting better. He's getting better. And the late career Naoya Inoue, while not as explosive and doesn't have as many knockouts as early Inoue had, mainly because of that weight difference where he's coming up, right? The skill from Naoya Inoue is just on point. He's less wild. He doesn't get out of position near as much. He's way more calculated. He's a fantastic counterpuncher, and there's not a place in the game he can't fight. I mean, you watch him fight Alan Picasso. It's like, okay, I'm a counterpunch? Great. Oh, I'm going to lead the charge? When he started leading the charge, like, Picasso was like, what do I do? Oh my gosh. It was not even a debate. Like, Inoue was in charge of this. Oh, you want to fight in the pocket? We're going to go, you put our foreheads together and just bang it out? Fine. I'm fine with that. Let's go. Oh, look, I'm on the ropes. You can't hit me. And I can hit you. That's the kind of fight Naoya Inoue brings to the table. And again, I'm not saying like, oh, Usyk's done better than this. No, Usyk, the only thing that Usyk does better than Naoya Inoue is fight the right names. And he's in the correct division to do so. And we're going to talk about this later about Inoue and who he called out, which was Junto Nakatani and Jesse Rodriguez, right? Bam. Like, Inoue needs those fights. I've been saying for forever that Naoya Inoue wants Gervonta Davis. Doesn't look like Gervonta Davis is ever going to fight again either. And can you blame Inoue for not wanting to fight a guy who can't make a $75 to $100 million payday against Jake freaking Paul? You watch Naoya Inoue and you're like, this guy's the utmost professional fighter. It's crazy. Now, the one thing I do gotta like criticize him about though is the hands down. He always likes to fight with his hands down. His shoulder roll is okay. It's not Floyd Mayweather. It's not Tank Davis level. It's not Shakur Stevenson level. But it's good. It's good. But he does get caught kind of with his hands down. But that's part of the game. If he's going to put on a show and perform and he wants to, look fancy and fantastic, that's part of it. Now, if you're going to go in there and fight a Jesse Rodriguez and do that, you're going to get chinned up a lot. You're going to get tuned up a lot. And Jesse Rodriguez, smaller than Inoue, he can knock you out. I mean, he can knock you clean out, He did. He called out Nakatani and bam. And, I think that the Jesse Rodriguez fight is way more interesting for Naoya Inoue at this point, partially because of what Nakatani looked like in his fight against Inoue, or against Hernandez. I mean, no disrespect to Sebastian Hernandez and what he's done. He's not Naoya Inoue, and he was still managed to really do things that Inoue does well, not as good as Inoue against a Junto Nakatani. Whereas Bam, I rate Bam very high, guys. He's not up there on the pound for pound list because he hasn't accomplished as much, and that's ultimately what pound for pound is what have you accomplished over your career, which is why the Terence Crawfords, the Canelo Alvarez's, the Dimitri Bivol, all those guys get really big boosts because Bivol beat Canelo and he's beat Bitterbiev twice or once. Canelo, the legacy of Canelo, Terence Crawford beating Canelo, all these undisputed titles that Terence Crawford has held. At the end of the day, though, you look at what Bam needs. He needs a super fight like this. He needs his Sugar Ray versus Marvin Hagler or Duran or Tommy Hearns. The Four Kings. We always talk about the Four Kings, or the George Charpentier to Jack Dempsey, or Jess Willard to Jack Dempsey, or Joe Louis to Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali's Sonny Liston. We need those, Mike Tyson's, the whole Mike Tyson run to what Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield were able to accomplish. Those guys didn't become superstars because they beat up cans and the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contenders like Inoue and Jesse Rodriguez do. They needed Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston, George Charpentier, Joe Louis, even though the Rocky Marciano is a little bit more nuanced than that. But you see what I'm saying? Floyd Mayweather needed the Manny Pacquiao to fight to, which he already had Oscar De La Hoya, but still, he needed that super fight to work towards. Jesse Rodriguez and Naoya Inoue. Y'all can clip this, do whatever you want. That is the highest level fight this era of boxing can provide. Bar none. You could book Oleksandr Usyk versus Dimitri Bivol at cruiserweight, and it won't be as incredible as what this fight can provide. Now, if you've watched the show for any amount of time, I've been pushing for Inoue versus Nakatani, and that fight has been needed to be made. This Night of the Samurai thing that the Saudis put on didn't need to happen. It could have gone by the wayside. I don't care. But I am not sold on this Nakatani after this Sebastian Hernandez win. It was a win. Nakatani won the fight, but it wasn't easy. So what's he going to do to get a bigger, larger, faster, heavier hitting Naoya Inoue? I don't give him a shot. And I did a film study on Inoue and Nakatani, and I was I don't want to let this confuse you. I think Inoue blast him. And the consensus is on Nakatani, and Inoue is settled. But the evaluation of Nakatani's performance isn't. And we do got to talk about that Sebastian Hernandez win, because if anybody in this card lost something besides Kenshiro Teraji, who literally lost not a fight, the guy pulled out, Kenshiro didn't get to fight, that kind of a loss. But even when Junto Nakatani shined, he showed how bad he was in transition, where Inoue shines and just demolishes, wrecks people. If that version of Junto Nakatani shows up and he's not orders of magnitudes better than what he fought, it's going to be one of those moments where Inoue knocks out a fellow Japanese guy in the Saitama Super Arena in front of 90,000 people, and it's like, oh my gosh, how big is this guy? Jesse Rodriguez just won on this card. Get them in the ring together. Let them face off right now. I've preached about it for years. Stop letting the super fight slip away. Stop letting Joshua versus Wilder slip away. Stop letting Fury versus Joshua slip away. Tank Davis versus Teofimo Shakur and all them. Stop letting that slip away. So what the fans want to see, and this is why TKO's trying to take over. It's like, oh, it's an easy pick. Sure, book this. Like, we get Teofimo versus Shakur now, but I only have to Saudis throw so much money at it. Again, circling back to Junto Nakatani. If that Nakatani shows up against Inoue, it's going to be a short, bad night for him. Don't think that because Junto Nakatani is a southpaw that's going to trip up Naoya Inoue. Inoue's been fighting nothing but southpaws lately. As a matter of fact, I think the fact that Alan Picasso was an orthodox fighter kind of threw him off. Don't let that, like, the left hook over the top of that long jab that Nakatani likes to throw out. If you're going to throw out the jab so much over and over and over and over and over, eventually Inoue's going to be like, wait a minute, a left hook over the top might do me some good. And when Inoue's left hook lands, that's it. That's it. And again, Junto Nakatani's a fun boxer. He's an all-action boxer. He's a cool fighter, you know. Looks like a praying mantis out there. I say that every time he fights. He looks like a praying mantis. There's levels. I hate that saying so much. I hate, oh, there's levels to this game. But, like, you give it the old eye test, boys. Give it the old eye test and watch those two fights back to back like I did. Like everybody who watched the whole card did. And they're like, I don't know, Chief. This one might not be it. This ain't me. Because just Junto Nakatani doesn't pass the eye test. He's not going to beat Inoue. You know, he welted under the pressure of Sebastian Hernandez. Once Hernandez is like, all right, I'm getting beat up here. We got to get in the clinch and fight. Not the clinch necessarily, but in the pocket and fight. That's where he started to shine. And Nakatani's looking for that, I think it was the left uppercut. He was looking for uppercuts, both hands, really. But it was Sebastian Hernandez's body work coming body to hit. Just mixing it up, lowering the hands. Literally what we were talking about with Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul last week, right? That right there showed me like, oh my gosh, he's landing the left hook consistently on Nakatani. You watch Inoue in the clinch against Alan Picasso and how he's ducking under punches and then springing up with a big left hook. That might be all you need to know about a fight between Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani. That might be all you need to know. It's one of those things where you're watching it and it's like, man, this really doesn't pass the eye test. Inoue blows through Junto Nakatani with ease. This keeps happening in boxing. A dominant win happens and we skip straight to the crown. It happened with Inoue's win over Picasso. It's gonna happen again when he beats Nakatani. Now he beats Bam, and you got a whole different thing there, right? And like, I'm not trying to tear down Naoya Inoue. He's an all-time great. He's one of the best of all time, which is crazy in a sport that's lasted for hundreds of years. He's two-time undisputed. But he does need that stepping stone that's not Nonito Donaire and Stephen Fulton. He needs that stepping stone. He needs that step up in competition. He doesn't need another can. He needs another reason to be great. And Junto Nakatani will be that next step. Assuming the fight gets booked. Like, Nakatani might went to the back and watch Inoue fight and like, I don't need this cuz. Let me cut out. Or he might be like, man, that's a lot of money. And I might be able to beat him. Or I believe in myself. To be a megastar in Japan, to sell the tickets that he needs to in Japan, Naoya Inoue has to brutally knock out Junto Nakatani in front of 90,000 people at the Saitama Super Arena. Saudi money's running out, but they got to pay for this fight to happen. I don't care how much it costs. Make that fight happen. There's interest behind it, and there's been interest for years now. Make it happen. But that's not what's going to get Inoue to superstardom, to the next level. He needs a household name. And Jesse Rodriguez is not a household name per se. He's not like Terence Crawford, Ryan Garcia, or Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury. No. But it's one of those high-level fights that, for either fighter, again, I remember what I said. This fight will be one of those fights that's the best this generation has to offer. A win for either of those guys. This is Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray. Winner takes the decade. Right? This is that high level of a fight. And it has to happen. This is the final boss for both Naoya Inoue and Jesse Rodriguez. Now that they put the idea in my head, and I thought about it in the past, like, Bam's a little too small, but he might be able to make the weight one day. I think Inoue wants to fight Tank. I've been saying this for a long time. But things happen. Tank goes to jail. He beats women, and it's like, let's leave that. Let's leave that in the past. That's the boss fight. And when they both step into the ring, kind of like a Dark Souls health bar will show up at the top. And we're not going to know who it is, whose name's under that. Inoue the Monster or Bam Jesse Rodriguez. Who's the final boss for the hero? Who becomes the hero? Winner of that is the hero. They take the decade. They take all the marbles. Number one pound for pound, probably. But until then, we won't know. Now, if you appreciate this kind of analysis that uses standards instead of hype, hit like and subscribe. The deeper conversations with this, they happen off of my YouTube. Sorry, guys. It's time limit here. Discord is where everything happens, where the real debates live. And on my Substack, in the description as well, that's where I write everything that pops into my crazy brain without limits. And all this video and stuff also comes to your inbox too. So go check that out.